Alright, today we'll be looking at building a GoPro mount for a sled using PVC pipe and other material, all for under $10. For this video we'll be using a 5-foot flexible flyer. Your two big design concerns for this will be trying to provide as much clearance from the ground as possible, all while not sacrificing stability. I think we did a pretty good job. The video doesn't vibrate too awful much. But one drawback with this design is that the pipe clamps that we'll be using really don't provide enough clearance for the ground, but we'll address that in a later project. One reason for the pipe clamps is this bumper that the flexible flyer sled has. First thing you'll want to do before you go out and buy anything is take a measurement. You'll want to measure from the top of one of the planks to the bottom of what I'm calling the crossbar. So my measurement comes out to be 1.5 inches, and so because it's 1.5 inches, I'm going to want to buy 1 3/4 inch carriage bolts. So these are 1 3/4 inches, and they're 1/4 inch longer so that they'll stick out the bottom when I drill the holes and poke them through. Next you'll need some pipe clamps, and you will find these at Home Depot in the electrical section. They're made to hold electrical conduit, usually on the bottom shelf at every Home Depot that I've been to. They come in different sizes, and the sizes that you'll need for 1-inch PVC is the size number 2, so don't forget that. You'll need a portable drill with a 1/4 inch drill bit. You'll need a hammer for tapping them through. You'll need needle nose pliers, a handful of fender washers. These are 1.25 inches by 3/8, 3/8 being the cutout there in the center. You'll need a ratchet and 1-inch PVC pipe. This is your regular Schedule 40 plumbing PVC. You can find a 10-foot stick of this at Home Depot for $4. Also, you'll need a 1-inch cross PVC, and you will need 2 1-inch PVC caps. In the caps, you will drill 1/4 inch holes close to the center as possible, and then through that you will thread 3/4 inch bolts, and those bolts should be a 1/4 inch by 20 thread count in order to be compatible with the GoPro tripod mount. So just stick those through and screw those in with the hex nuts. You'll also need some hex nuts as well. So first things first, what you'll have to do is measure, and it doesn't have to be perfectly in the center, but as close to the center as possible. You'll just drill a couple holes in the back 2 crossbars. This PVC is flexible, so it does not have to be perfect. And then in the front crossbar, you'll need 2 holes close to the side for this design. Once you got your holes drilled, go ahead and flip her over and we'll tap the carriage bolts through. Nothing too complicated here. You'll just take your carriage bolts. Again, mine are 1 3/4 inches because my crossbar to the top of my plank was 1.5 inches, and I needed it to be a little bit longer so it'll stick out the bottom when I poke it through there. But you'll thread those through a fender washer and then just stick those in the holes that you drilled. Again, no rocket science, but if needed, just grab your hammer, tap them through so that they're not sticking up. You don't want to land on those when you're trying to get your sled going. Next, you'll take your pipe clamps. They come with a carriage bolt already screwed in. You'll just unscrew those, remove those, and you'll just put those on the carriage bolts that you've drilled through and place through the crossbars there. Then you'll tighten them all up and just get them as tight as you possibly can. That way that they don't snap or fall off while you're on your run. Next, you'll need to measure in between the 2 on the front crossbar in order to cut a couple lengths of pipe. And what I've done is cut 2 lengths of pipe that'll fit into those 2 pipe clamps, and then attach those to my 1-inch cross connection. Just for a note, I put in this cross connection because I was afraid that the weight of the camera would make the whole pipe rotate, but that actually ends up not being the case. These pipe clamps are very stout, and so this cross section here is not necessary. So if you just want to use a single pipe clamp and drill another hole there in the middle, that'll work as well. But what I'm doing here is, well, I'm trying to measure from the cross to the end of the sled there, to the end of the rails. My measurement came out to be 32 inches, and so I'll cut a 32-inch section of PVC, and that'll be my last section of pipe there. So you just slide those into the pipe clamps and then screw it in as tightly as possible to your cross there in the front. Then of course you tighten your carriage bolts there on your pipe clamp, and that thing will not move. And then tighten the ones there on the front. After you're done with that, all you got to do is just take a measurement from the cross to the front of the sled. That measurement came out to be 20 inches. And then for what I'm calling the spear, you'll measure a foot past the front of the sled. So again, I've got another 32-inch section of pipe, and I'll stick it in the cross. Now, what you'll find is that that alone will be very wobbly. It will vibrate a whole lot and cause your video to vibrate and just not be very high quality. So what I did was drill a 1/4-inch hole in that front plank right there and stick another 1 3/4 carriage bolt through. But then what I did was take about 5 or 6 fender washers, stick through, thread through the carriage bolt there, and then get one last pipe clamp and tighten it down on that bolt. And what that's going to do is just provide some more stability for that front view piece of the mount there. So you'll just stick that through the cross. Yes, there's the cap that you use for the GoPro. You just stick that through the pipe clamp and tighten it into the cross as much as possible. Then of course you tighten down your pipe clamp, and as you can see, that thing is really sturdy. For the back part, which is I have nicknamed the snorkel, you'll need a 1-inch 90-degree bend. You can find that in the plumbing section at Home Depot. So you screw that in as tight as possible, and then you'll cut another length of PVC. This length is about 12 inches. I've found that a length of about 15 inches is probably more what you're going to want, but this one is 12 inches, and you'll screw your other cap on top of that with your screw in there, and that will provide some good third-person viewing. So this is the back of it, what I'm calling the snorkel, and as you can see here, some pretty cool third-person views. A little wobbly, but it ends up being okay. And then here in the front, I'm calling this the spear, and it provides some pretty cool first-person viewpoints for your runs. So I'll just end the video with some cool footage that we took. Pretty big snowstorm that hit Nashville a couple weeks ago. Thank you for watching.